Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, when people mention the world's oldest profession, the image that usually pops up is, well, it's pretty narrow, isn't it?
It definitely is loaded with stereotypes, assumptions.
Exactly. And it often misses this huge part of the story, the actual economics of it all. Like, how did money or, goods actually change hands way back then?
What did it really mean to earn something in ancient times?
Right. What could you actually buy? So today, that's our mission. We're doing a deep dive into the ancient economy of prostitution.
We're looking at Mesopotamia, Greece, and Rome.
Yeah, trying to get those key nuggets of info about how wealth flowed, how payments worked. We want to understand what those shekels or obols or Roman asses really meant.
Not just the coin itself, but the economic weight behind it.
Have you ever stopped to think, what was one silver shekel really worth in ancient Sumer? Or what could a, say, high-class courtesan in Greece actually afford with her earnings? Get ready for some pretty surprising stuff.
It's fascinating, really. When you look at the economic side, especially in areas history sometimes ignores, you learn so much about the society itself. Understanding the value, the payment methods. It gives you a much clearer picture.
Of what? Like social structures?
Exactly. Societal hierarchies, how wealth actually moved, how different roles were valued, or sometimes really devalued.
So it's not just about saying this cost X dollars back then.
Not at all. It's about grasping the power of that money or those goods within their own world.
Okay, let's dive in then. We have to start way, way back. Ancient Mesopotamia, cradle of civilization territory.
Right. And here the context is really interesting because prostitution often seems linked to temples, sometimes called sacred.
Sacred. So not just transaction on the street corner.
Not always, no. It appears to be woven into religious practice, social structures, which definitely impacts the economics.
So how were people paid? Was it money as we know it?
Not really. Not standardized coins like later on.
Yeah.
This is Sumer Akkad, maybe 2000 to 1000 BCE. Payment was often in, well, valuable goods.
Like what?
Grain, for instance. Barley or wheat. Silver, too, but maybe as chunks or pieces, not neat little coins. Dates. Even livestock.
Livestock, so you could get paid with a goat.
Potentially, yes. Imagine getting a sack of barley. That feeds your family. Or a goat milk, maybe eventually meat. These weren't tokens, they were vital resources.
Stuff you needed to live, trade, build wealth.
Precisely. So the value wasn't just a fixed price. It was about the actual usefulness of the thing being exchanged.
And we actually have some specific evidence, right? I read about a Sumerian tablet.
Yes, that's a key piece. It mentions a specific price. 1 shekel of silver for a prostitute's services.
1 shekel. Okay, what does that mean in practical terms?
Well, a shekel was about 8 grams of silver. If we try to translate that very roughly, maybe 50 to 80 US today.
Okay, but like you said, it's not just the dollar amount.
Exactly. The crucial part is what that shekel could buy in Sumer. It could get you quite a bit of barley, maybe enough to feed a family for a month, or a decent goat or sheep.
So definitely not cheap.
Not at all. It suggests this was a significant cost, probably more than a basic laborer earned in quite some time. Likely a luxury for most men.
Which tells us something about who had the spare resources, the economic power back then.
Absolutely. It points to social stratification. Who could afford these services? Probably not your average farmer.
And this whole system, payment and goods, sometimes linked to temples. How did that shape things? Did it give these women any economic power?
It's complex. If someone was temple-based, they might have received support from the temple economy, like rations, not just payment per service. That could offer some stability.
Okay. A bit of a safety net, maybe?
Perhaps. And for those paid in commodities, managing that wealth meant storing grain, dealing with livestock, weighing silver. You needed practical skills.
More than just the service itself, you had to be a resource manager.
In a way, yes. Maybe bartering, maybe even dealing with debt. It shows a society where economic power wasn't just about coins, but controlling essential resources.
Fascinating. Okay, let's jump forward a bit. And westward, ancient Greece.
Right. Greece, say around 600 to 300 BCE. Here, things look different. We see more currency use and a really clear social split within the profession.
A split, like different levels.
Definitely. 2 main tiers, economically speaking. At the bottom, you had the porne. That word literally means sellers.
Okay. And who were they?
Often street prostitutes working in brothels, maybe enslaved women, or very poor free women.
And I assume their earnings reflected that status.
Starkly different, yes. A porne might charge about 1 obol per visit.
1 obol. What's an obol?
Tiny silver coin, in today's terms. maybe $10, $15. But again, think about buying power.
What could you get for one obol?
A loaf of bread, a very basic meal for one, a bit of cheap wine, it's subsistence level.
So just enough to get by, basically.
Pretty much. A life often stuck in poverty, really harsh conditions, not much chance of getting ahead economically.
But that wasn't the whole picture in Greece, was it? There's the other end of the scale. The heterae?
Ah, yes, the heterae. High-class courtesans, worlds apart from the porne.
These weren't just about sex. Right?
Yeah.
Sources talk about them being educated, witty companions to powerful men.
Absolutely. They were often celebrated for their beauty, yes, but also their intellect, musical skills, conversation. They weren't just escorts, they were companions.
Attending symposia, engaging in discussions.
Exactly. With philosophers, politicians, generals, they offered sophisticated companionship, intellectual partnership almost, and that social capital, it translated directly into economic power.
So what kind of money are we talking about for them?
A hetera could command a drachma, or even more per night. Sometimes it wasn't just per night, it was ongoing patronage.
And a drachma was worth how much more than an obol?
Significantly more. 6 obols made a drachma. So if an obol is maybe 10, 15, a drachma is pushing $100, maybe $150, $200 or more in today's terms.
Wow. Per night.
Per night, potentially. And remember, a drachma was several days' wages for a common laborer. It could cover rent. This income allowed heterae a genuinely luxurious, independent life.
Incredible. And the sources mention some famous names, like Aspasia, Pericles' companion. She wasn't just admired, she was influential, right? Hosting salons, talking politics.
Precisely. Socrates supposedly attended her salons. It shows they weren't just receiving gifts, they were building social and intellectual capital. Real leverage.
And that meant real wealth, like owning property.
Oh, yes. Some heterae owned slaves, managed large households, invested their money. They could wield influence through their connections. Their wealth wasn't just spent, it was managed, grown.
It's a striking example of how, even in that society, certain women could gain significant agency, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Through skill, intelligence, strategic relationships, they achieved a level of economic independence that was exceptional for women in ancient Greece.
Okay, from Greece's intellectual salons, let's head further west.
Yeah.
To Rome, the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Known for being pragmatic, organized.
And that applies here too. In Rome, say from 100 BCE to 300 CE, prostitution was legal. Not just tolerated, but regulated, taxed even.
Taxed by the state, so it was an official revenue stream.
Absolutely. Brothels, the lupinaria, were common, and interestingly, they sometimes had prices listed right on the walls, like a menu.
Very Roman. So what were those prices like for the more common services?
Typically maybe 2 to 8 asses. Asses were small bronze coins.
2 to 8 asses. How does that translate?
Very roughly, maybe $5 to $20 today, and as was pretty low value. Enough for a basic meal, cheap wine, entry to the public baths, maybe. It was the cost of a quick, anonymous service for the masses.
And the state got its cut.
The state got its cut. It was a licensed, regulated business contributing to the imperial treasury. It gave it a sort of legitimacy while being a reliable source of income for the empire.
But again, like Greece, Rome surely had its high end. The elite courtesans.
Oh, absolutely. The meretrices. And here, the potential earnings could be enormous.
How enormous are we talking?
We hear about them earning the equivalent of thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars a month in today's terms. It wasn't just direct payment, though.
Gifts. Patronage.
Lavish gifts. Gold, jewelry, villas, country estates, slaves, often from powerful senators, wealthy merchants, sometimes even emperors. These weren't just passive recipients either.
They managed this wealth.
Very much so. They invested, owned multiple properties, ran complex households, became patrons themselves. They used their connections, their influence, sometimes intervening in politics. Their economic power was significant and often used strategically for long-term security.
Which brings us to that pretty wild story about Empress Messalina.
Ah, yes. The wife of Emperor Claudius. The gossip raiders, like Tacitus and Suetonius, tell these tales.
That she disguised herself and worked in a brothel.
Allegedly, yes. Competing with other prostitutes, supposedly not for money, but for, well, desire, according to the sources.
Whether it's totally true or, political slander.
Exactly. We have to be cautious. But even as a story, connect it to the bigger picture.
What does it show?
It vividly shows how intertwined this all was with class, power, politics, even reaching the imperial family. It wasn't some hidden separate world. It suggests a society where these economic and sexual systems were deeply embedded, acknowledged even at the very top. Power, scandal, economics, all mixed together.
Okay, so we've journeyed through Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome. We've talked shekels, obols, asses. Let's try to bring it together. Looking through a modern lens, what does it all mean?
It's about relative status, isn't it? Not just converting coins.
Right. What kind of lifestyle did these earnings actually provide compared to today?
Well, if we synthesize it, a common prostitute in any of these ancient cities probably earned about the same as a basic day laborer.
Enough to survive.
Enough for basic food, maybe shelter, but really just survival.
Yeah.
Very little chance for savings, getting ahead, or gaining any real control over their lives, often precarious, vulnerable.
But at the other end,
Yeah.
the heterae, or meretrices.
Totally different world. They could amass wealth comparable to, say, a successful modern lawyer, maybe a celebrity, a high-level politician.
Really? That level?
Potentially, yes. They could become incredibly powerful figures, sometimes wealthier and more independent than men born into nobility, all through strategic connections, patronage, managing their assets.
Do we have any rough annual income estimates in today's terms?
Based on the sources, the range is huge. You might see the equivalent of maybe $5,000 a year at the very bottom end, bare subsistence level for street work.
That's the top.
For the elite courtesans, companions to rulers, it could easily be over $500,000 a year, maybe even more, when you factor in gifts and property.
$500,000 or more. That's staggering.
It's a vast economic chasm within the same profession. It highlights this profound disparity that existed not just between cultures, but right there within a single ancient society.
And it feels, well, familiar, doesn't it? That kind of disparity within a single field.
It really does. It makes you ask that question. How much has really changed fundamentally?
In terms of economic extremes.
Exactly. The mechanisms of social and economic stratification. Even in professions outside the mainstream, you see these enduring patterns across millennia, from utter hardship to incredible wealth and influence. The specifics change, payment methods change, but that deep divide seems remarkably persistent.
So there you have it, our deep dive into the economics of ancient prostitution. From Mesopotamia's commodity exchanges to Greece's tiered system and Rome's taxed brothels.
It really was deeply woven into the economic, social, even political life of these civilizations.
And what a spectrum, from barely scraping by to wielding immense wealth and influence. It challenges the simple stereotype, doesn't it?
Absolutely. What's fascinating isn't just the numbers, the shekels or drachmas. It's what they reveal about human society, consistent patterns of value, power, desire, agency, survival, stretching across huge spans of history. Peeling back those layers is incredibly revealing.
It really makes you think. So next time you hear that phrase, the oldest profession, maybe you'll think beyond the stereotype. Will you consider the silver shekels, the economic realities, the surprising political connections?
And maybe wonder, what other ancient roles, often dismissed, hold equally surprising economic stories?
Something to ponder, for sure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.